Hello, and welcome to It's Your Business, a program designed to highlight our local small businesses who participate in contracting and procurement opportunities at Houston Community College. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. HCC Procurement Operations is the sole authority to negotiate for the purchase of supplies, equipment, and services for the college. The goal of the department is to promote the best interests of HCC and the people it serves by minimizing cost and obtaining the maximum projected value for each dollar spent. Joining us today is Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld, Executive Director of Procurement Operations. Dietrich oversees the college's procurement department, which includes procurement operations, strategic sourcing, and the Small Business Development Program. Dietrich brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the procurement team. In 2018, Governor Greg Abbott appointed Dietrich to the Public Transportation Advisory Committee for the state of Texas. Previously, Dietrich served a 4-year term on the Texas State Council on Purchasing for People with Disabilities. As an attorney and a distinguished member of the Texas Bar College, an honor reserved for fewer than 5% of all Texas attorneys, Dietrich exemplifies the highest standards of professional excellence. Dietrich received a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from the University of Houston and a Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Mississippi. In addition, Dietrich holds the CPPO, CTCM, and CTPM certifications, which are the highest national and state purchasing credentials. Beyond his professional achievements, Dietrich has served his community with a dedication as being a 5-year city councilman and 5-year term mayor tempore with the city of West Columbia, Texas. Dietrich is also a regular guest on the Isaiah Factor, a current affairs show on local news Fox 26. Dietrich, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me this morning, Veronica.
I know I spoke a little bit about your experience and background, but please elaborate a little bit more and tell us what some of your passions are.
Well, fortunately, I'll say that most of my passions and hobbies very much align with my work. So I enjoy reading, I enjoy researching and publishing. I've written quite a few articles, including some that have been published in procurement magazines and various legal publications. Additionally, I enjoy traveling, which provides me a perspective on the world. So understanding value, things such as currency exchange and different modes of electricity transference gives me a slightly different perspective when I'm analyzing supply cycle issues as related to procurement. I'm the youngest of 4 children. I grew up in Houston. I'm a graduate of Willow Ridge High School, where I played in the band. Previously, I attended Second Baptist School and also played in their band and orchestras. And I've been a pretty regular participant in various community organizations, including Rotary International, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and the Australian American Chamber of Commerce for Texas.
Well, we are really excited that you are the executive director of the procurement operations team here at HCC. Tell us a little bit about the team that you lead.
As you alluded to earlier, it's divided into 3 sections. So we've got an operations section, which includes contract management and administration functions. We have a strategic sourcing team that really looks at the buying, so competitive solicitations, but also issuing purchase orders, reviewing those requests for items and services that emanate from the various client departments and colleges. And then, of course, your dynamic team and small business that maintains quite a bit of outreach, community participation, and awareness of ways that we can ensure that many of our dollars are spent locally, because we know that dollars spent locally are reinvested more quickly and more sort of advantageously in our community for our students and other members of the Houston region.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the goals that you have in mind for the procurement department.
Well, as somewhat of an emerging leader in the public sector, and particularly in the civic space, I've always looked forward to innovation and improvement. So we really want to be a continuous improvement department. We want to look at ways in which we've done things well and reinforce those practices, and then also look to the future and say, okay, how can we utilize various technologies and tools, certain permissions by the state legislature with regard to our bidding processes and practices to really ensure that we're maximizing best value in our procurement. So not just what is the lowest price, but also what maximizes the operational efficacy of our client departments in support of student success, and what ensures various factors such as warranty, reliability, and compatibility with existing systems, those goods and services that we procure can do. So in that sense, we want to, again, reinforce what we're doing well and shift and change to transform and innovate so that we can continue to be the best that we can be. And I always say good enough isn't. So we want to be an optimal leader in procurement in the region and in the state, sort of a model entity. And that involves making sure that we're moving quickly and compliantly. It also involves ensuring that we are really reviewing some of our practices to make sure that we are best utilizing the resources we have, and occasionally asking for more resources to ensure that we're remaining a little bit competitive in the space of understanding research and some of those underlying areas where procurement adds value to the mission of Houston Community College system.
So, given what you just said, why does transparency really matter in not only HCC, but in public procurement?
Well, one of the main factors with transparency involves communication and managing expectations. Of course, we can look at some of the quantifiable dangers of opaqueness, which come in the form of bid disputes or time and other resources spent by staff responding to concerns or questions by some bidder or community member who is concerned. So those things take up time and energy, and of course, other capacity unnecessarily if we are actively communicating and transparently relaying the various expectations for those people responding to bids or those vendors and current suppliers of goods and services. Additionally, where we're transparent with our internal client departments to make sure that they're aware of the various processes and timelines to ensure that we are legally, procedurally, and practice-wise demonstrating not only compliance, but again, that best practices and best value procurement where we're making sure that every dollar that is spent in a way that aligns with that student success foundation. So again, transparency saves us time and energy on the back end, but it also makes sure that when we're managing those expectations, that those vendors understand what we're expecting of them and there are no surprises.
So, what trends are you currently seeing in public procurement?
Well, of course, one of the positive aspects as someone coming from the University of Houston downtown, where I was a professor most recently, is the emphasis on continuing education. We recognize that laws change, and fortunately for us in Texas, only every other year, but even federal laws can change with each legislative session. Various informational aspects can change, and some of our partner entities, such as the City of Houston or Harris County, as they experience leadership and oversight board changes, some of those practices and interrelation with the Houston Community College can shift. So with that continuous education mindset, we've seen continued emphasis on credentials, the value of those particular understandings of public procurement and the supply cycle. Additionally, we've seen some challenges. One of the big challenges in most industries, particularly in government, is seniority and lack of movement for the maintenance of new career professionals to find this a pathway that they can say, I can spend my career here. So we're seeing an awareness that we need to create more versatile positions, create expanded opportunities for advancement within our departments, and those are also positive on the back end because they encourage us to look at what we're doing and be open to transformation. In that form, we don't want to change things for the sake of change, but we also recognize that the way we've always done it doesn't mean that it's the best way to maximize our spend, support the acquisition of goods and services for our client departments. And again, at the end of the day, keep with that mission of ensuring that students have what they need to succeed in the workforce.
Dietrich, let's take a quick break. And then when we return, I want to continue our conversation about exactly what type of goods and services HCC procures. As we know, there are over 100 programs here that we serve to our students. Let's talk about that when we return, what goods and services we procure for the college.
When I grow up, I want to work in a hospital.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
For Lachi, winning means using her voice to bring hope to others with vision loss. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is committed to funding research to end blinding retinal diseases. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more at fightingblindness.org.
Our individual voices are powerful, but not everything has a voice. Let us be a voice to the voiceless, the caretakers our home deserves. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that when we all come together, the sky is the limit. It's time to speak up for nature.
Welcome back, and we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld, Executive Director of Procurement Operations at HCC. And we left off talking about the goods and services that the college provides or purchases. So Dietrich, please elaborate a little bit about the goods and services that are required to keep the college operation running.
So one of the exciting things about this profession, particularly in the space of community colleges with their vocational and academic emphasis, is the diversity of goods and products that we're able to examine. And of course, the nerd in me loves researching about new things and doing sort of a little bit of expertise, that Renaissance review of various goods and services. In our programs, we recognize that we buy vehicles because we have a truck driving school, but we also procure vehicles for our acting police department or our maintenance crews. And so sometimes there's overlap between those things that are provided programmatically for our academic and vocational programs and those things that are provided to ensure the smooth operation, sort of that back office operations of the system as a whole. Additionally, we might buy things such as microphones. We might need microphones for board meetings so that the duly elected oversight board can communicate transparently and with the community and the chancellor. We might also then, with that programmatic overlap, buy microphones of a different type for our theater program. So in that sense, we have such a wide variety of goods and services that we procure that keep it interesting. Architecture and engineering services might be procured not only for new construction, some of these really innovative and programmatically supportive structures that we've built over the years, but also for that maintenance, making sure that the elevators continue to operate so that we can transport our students safely and ensure ADA compliance on our various campuses. We procure office supplies, making sure that those folks who, like me, are not that tech savvy can write our paper notes with our ink pens. Additionally, ensuring desktops and other computer services for administrative purposes and our libraries for our student use. And then we have some really one-off cool procurements for things at the West Houston Institute, such as 3D printers and other sorts of tools and technologies that students can access that are very much unique and distinct for our educational programmatic offerings here at the Houston Community College system. And of course, software licenses and some of those other similar things that you don't necessarily see, but you need for effective and smooth interaction with our students and for our administrative teams to interact with each other with Zoom calls or Teams meetings.
Viewers that are watching that are interested in getting involved in this procurement process, tell us a little bit about the procurement thresholds. How can they get involved?
Well, I first recommend that anyone watching visit hccs.edu and register as a vendor through our bonfire system. Of course, I welcome them to contact you because then I don't have to answer the phone, but I know that besides you as a resource in your team, we have many informational resources available on the webpage. And so once you register, there are a number of informational tools that demonstrate the procurement thresholds, at what point we have to bid. You know, are you offering a $3,000 one-time expenditure, or is it a $10,000 expenditure that occurs 5 times? So once we hit that $50,000 threshold, we're talking about a competitive bid process. And there are a number of different modes that we can utilize to, again, reach that desired outcome of maintaining best value to ensure that the operation of the college and our students are best supported with technology and tools that are current, timely, compatible with the needs, and otherwise ensure that we're getting that maximized spend. So go to that website, check it out. Feel free to call us as well. We do have a phone number on there. And once you've registered and you look through our procurement manual, maybe check out some of the board meetings, see some of those items that our board has voted on and awarded. Because another aspect is in supply cycle, we know about lead times. We may be using a certain service now, we may be using a certain good or product now, but when that contract renewal ends, we will be resoliciting or seeking for an individual or vendor to provide that again. So if you know that we awarded a 1-year contract at the July 2023 board meeting, then at the July 2024 board meeting, we may be looking to either renew or seek a new award. And so those sorts of timelines can assist vendors in planning not only their bid packages, making sure that they have the up-to-date resumes if they're providing a professional service, but also making sure that they have the inventory to meet the needs of such an expansive system with our 7 colleges across 500 square miles.
And speaking of the competitive procurement process, can you tell us a little bit about the evaluation criteria?
Many times price is listed as number 1 because it's listed as number 1 in the statute. We are looking to spend the dollars wisely and very much in a focused manner, recognizing that we all have finite resources and we don't want to place a burden on our students with the tuition or our taxpayer-supported community. In that sense, we look at quality, we look at time for delivery, and depending on the scope of the good or service acquisition, is it for one campus? Is it for one classroom? Is it for the entire system? We may look at warranties and ability to deliver across that scale. So if it's a scalable product, that's also something that's positive for a respondent to any sort of quote or bid, because we know that it may be something that is needed by one student, such as a CART service or sign language interpreter, but it may be something that's universally needed by the 70,000+ students that we entertain each year, such as the textbooks or certain sorts of Wi-Fi accessibility. And so in engaging and educating those young minds, we want to make sure that, and again, when we say young, I mean those growth mindset folks who are sort of invigorated with continuous improvement that are part of our student body. We make sure that we're providing those tools for them in again, a comprehensive way: quality, compatibility with our existing systems, time to delivery, warranty, and again, ability to scale.
And with the competitive bid process, there are pre-bid meetings that take place. Why is it important for interested contractors to attend the pre-bid meeting?
Well, that mutuality and really understanding goes back to your transparency point. When we want to manage those expectations, we want to set our vendor community up for success. And if it's something that you actually can't deliver, we don't want you expending valuable resources, not only responding to the bid, but attempting to deliver a good or service that is beyond the scope of your capacity. And that can put vendors in a very challenging predicament if they think they can provide 100 cameras, but it turns out we need 1,000 cameras or we need 1,000 vehicles. And so in that sense, we want to make sure that the vendor is able to fully understand the project, appropriately bid, and not underbid in a situation that puts financial duress or staffing duress or other sorts of challenges that not only can cause quantitative harms in their business, but also those qualitative reputational challenges of not being able to meet the demand. And again, to be awarded and meet the various criteria that are considered in each bid, we want to make sure that each vendor is most aware of those areas that they need to emphasize. So there may be different aspects of a certain scope of work or scope of services where the vendor, by doing a site visit, by attending a pre-bid meeting, can better tailor, just like a job applicant can tailor a resume to a private entity versus a public entity or something of that nature, making sure that the vendor is answering the questions in a way that puts them in the most favorable light if they are now aware and confident that they can deliver that good or service.
And Dietrich, before we take another quick break, tell us one more time what the procurement department's website is for those contractors and viewers that are interested in learning more about our procurement opportunities.
Well, I recommend vendors go through the www.hccs.edu portal so that they can also get an understanding of the overarching institution for which they would be providing those. And then you're able to scroll down to the IMA and scroll to the bottom where it says vendor. Click on that, and it'll take you right to the tools and portals that you need to register and learn about our department.
This has been such an interesting and informative conversation thus far. I want to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'd like you to tell our viewers a little bit more about the solicitation process. How long does this process actually take for those that are interested in getting involved?
When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
But everything looks clear. No ugly white spots in there.
All gone.
When people ask us who we are, we tell them we're problem solvers, opportunity creators, and change makers. We are Rotary. Around the world, our network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, and leaders volunteer their skills and resources to solve issues and address community needs. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.
Welcome back. We were just speaking with Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld, Executive Director of HCC Procurement Operations, and he was talking about the competitive procurement process. So, Dietrich, exactly how long is this solicitation process once the need is identified?
I'm going to have to give you a lawyer answer. It depends. Context is key. So, one of the aspects of our procurement compliance is state law. So there are minimum timelines depending on the type of bid. Is this an invitation for bid, a request for proposals, a request for quotations, and so forth? There are minimum thresholds set forth by the state legislature that may be 10 days, they may be 2 weeks, they may be 30 days. Additionally, we have internal practices that we have developed over the years and continue to evolve, recognizing some of the intentionality towards small business participation, where we may extend certain timelines to allow for pre-bid meetings or for vendors to gain more information about what specifically a client department or a programmatic need is. So we may extend that period where we advertise the availability of openness for responses, where we accept bids maybe for a 30-day window or so forth, just depending on that good service, the complexity of the procurement, and so forth. But again, I recommend that vendors look to exercise due diligence, look to the needs of the college as associated with the good or service that you are best able to provide and that you're most interested in providing to serve our student success mission. And then look at our board meetings to see when we've awarded this in the past, to see where that need is. And then you can actually go to, again, our hccs.edu portal, coordinate with the small business community within HCC, our operations and sourcing team, to figure out when new bids or new projects may be upcoming with that procurement schedule, and use that information to plan ahead. So generally, I would say you want to be aware of these things through the website, but it may be as little as a 10-day window depending on what we're asking. And so the more awareness you have of that, the more equipped and responsive you'll be able to be.
And one of the other procurement methods that the HCC utilizes are cooperatives. Can you tell us a little bit about cooperatives?
Absolutely. Cooperative purchasing is a legally approved vehicle where competitive bids are sourced through a compliant agency, and we are able to access those contracts because they've been competitively awarded before. We have a number of state and local government cooperative entities, and vendors may seek to respond to those so that various governmental entities, not just HCC, but the city of Houston, other universities and local colleges, and even some not-for-profit entities are able to access those cooperative contracts because they've been competitively bid. And in that response, we would look at simply looking at quotes and the best pricing and warranty to meet those needs. And then we would be able to nearly immediately access that compliant, competitively bid contract through one of these cooperative agencies. And so I encourage vendors, excellent point, please look at those award or bid opportunities so that if you're awarded by a cooperative contracting entity, that you are able to then be a resource for HCC without the delays of our own internal legally compliant competitive bid process.
And I know that the Small Business Development Program does have that listing, and when we're in the community, we like to give it out to make the vendors aware of that opportunity of participating via cooperative. And Dietrich, it has been really great talking with you. You've been a wealth of knowledge to our viewers, and you have done an amazing job leading the procurement department. Before we close our show for today, do you have any tips or advice that you would like to offer to any of our viewers?
Well, I would always encourage our vendor community to participate in vendor awareness fairs, any event that you and your team are participating in, small business vendors, but generally those people who are in companies that are interested in providing goods or services should reach out to you, should attend those events and be supportive of those community events to build exposure and awareness, because that sort of mutuality, that symbiotic relationship of communication is going to assist them in being most responsive to any award opportunities that exist within our system. I'd also encourage individuals and our vendor community to go to our website, hccs.edu, check out the procurement portals, register as a vendor, and make sure that you stay pretty active in observing what opportunities are coming up on the calendar.
Thank you, Dietrich. And for those viewers watching, we are currently doing our district-wide seminars. So if you are interested in participating in the district-wide seminars, please take a look at our calendar online. We would love to have you join us in one of those seminars. Thank you again for watching and participating in the initiatives of the Small Business Development Program. For It's Your Business, I am your host, Veronica Douglas, and we will see you next time.